Major alert in Philly. The winds are shifting at the NovaCare complex, and something big is brewing in the heart of the Eagles' secondary. Hot sources are pointing to a potential shakeup on the roster, and the name that's just entered the conversation could change everything. We're talking about a defensive back who's been a dominant force for nearly a decade, and now he wants to wear midnight green. That's right, behind the scenes, the temperature is rising fast, and you're about to find out why. The Super Bowl chase is alive and real, and Nick Sirianni knows that to get there, he'll need the perfect blend of seasoned leadership and fresh legs. So buckle up, because I'm about to break it all down for you. But before we go any further, if your blood runs green, hit that like button hard and drop a comment that says, "Fly Eagles fly," since day one. Let's get right into it. There's serious noise surrounding the Eagles and four-time second-team All-Pro safety Justin Simmons. And this isn't just random speculation, it's coming directly from Brian Baldinger, one of the most respected voices in football analysis and a former Eagle himself. Baldy said straight up on the NFL Network, Justin Simmons wants to play for Philadelphia. Not hopes, not maybe. He wants to be here. So what's the holdup? Why hasn't Howie Roseman pulled the trigger? Let's first take a look at what the Eagles currently have at the safety position. If the season started today, the projected starters would be Reed Blankenship and Sidney Brown. Now listen, Reed has become one of the most underrated players on this roster. He's instinctive, clutch, fearless, and a true leader in the locker room. He was even part of the Eagles' leadership council last year. Darius Slay, before his departure, identified Reed as someone who could step up and take on that captain-type role. He's earned that respect. Then there's Sidney Brown, the third-round pick from a couple of drafts ago. The man is built like a tank and plays with the energy of a wildfire. He's physical, he's fast, and he doesn't back down from anyone. Yes, he still has to work on controlling that aggressiveness because it can take him out of plays, but Brown has serious upside. The Eagles even used him in versatile roles, not just at safety but also in hybrid linebacker-type packages. He's not ideal for slot coverage due to his short area quickness, but he can hit, tackle, and fly all over the field. And don't forget the new addition from this year's draft, Andrew Mukuba out of Clemson, selected with the 64th overall pick. This kid is drawing early comparisons to C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He had the lowest passer rating allowed among college safeties last year and brings that same versatility and swagger. He's smaller in size, but he's fast, instinctive, and already being eyed for nickel and deep safety roles. But here's the issue, all of those names are young, talented, yes, but untested in big playoff moments. That's where Justin Simmons could be the ultimate piece of the puzzle. The Eagles need leadership in the secondary. They lost Slay. They lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson. They've got potential, but what they need now is stability. Justin Simmons checks every box. He's smart. He's durable. He's a turnover machine. Since entering the league in 2016, Simmons has racked up 32 interceptions, among the best in the entire NFL during that span. In 2022, he was the co-leader in interceptions across the league. That's elite production, folks. Even more impressive, he's played 13 or more games in 8 of his 9 seasons. The only exception was 2022. He was a second-team All-Pro just last year. That's right, in 2023. The guy isn't washed. He's not just a big name on the back end of his career. He's still playing at a high level. And with Vic Fangio now the Eagles' defensive coordinator, the very coach under whom Simmons played his best football in Denver, this fit makes even more sense. The scheme is familiar. The coach is trusted. The opportunity is right there. And Simmons? He's made it clear he wants to be here. Baldy quoted him as saying, "Just find Simmons a house in South Jersey. He's going to be there. He'll be fine." That's not just idle talk. He told Kay Adams it would be awesome to play in Philly. The connections are real. He's close with Christian Parker, the Eagles' defensive backs coach, who's also gaining buzz as a future DC in this league. Simmons respects him. The players respect him. The locker room would welcome Simmons with open arms. Now, let's talk logistics. Simmons is 32 years old in November, so sure, he's on the back end of his career. But that could actually benefit the Eagles financially. He's not going to demand a massive payday. He signed a one-year deal with Atlanta after spending his whole career with Denver. And guess what? That Atlanta defense was a mess. Not just Simmons, the whole unit. They gave up the second most touchdowns in the NFL and had the worst sack and pressure numbers in the league. That lack of pass rush directly affected Simmons' numbers. His PFF grade last year? Just 59.9. Not great, but there's context. The Falcons' pass rush gave quarterbacks all day to throw, and that left the secondary exposed. That's not the environment Simmons thrives in. Bring him back into a Fangio system, surround him with real talent in the front seven, and suddenly, you've got a chance to see Simmons return to all-pro form. At worst, he's a veteran backup with high football IQ, great instincts, and the ability to step in if an injury hits the young guys. At best, he's a starting caliber safety who gives you leadership, production, and a veteran presence during a championship run. So now the question is real and pressing. Should the Eagles sign Justin Simmons? What do you think, Eagles fans? Should Howie Roseman make this move and bring a four-time second-team All-Pro to a defense that's looking to take the next step? Or should the Eagles stick with their young core and ride the wave of potential? Let me know in the comments right now, and get ready, because we're not done yet. Want me to drop the second part of this story? Just say the word. When you look at what separates contenders from champions in the NFL, it's usually not the flashy plays or highlight reels. It's the depth, the leadership, and the experience in the most critical moments. And that's exactly what Justin Simmons could bring to this Philadelphia Eagles team. Think about last season, when things got tough, when injuries hit the secondary, when the defense needed a stabilizing presence, who did they turn to? It wasn't always clear. Darius Slay, now gone. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, also out. The locker room lost two of its biggest veteran voices on defense, and even with young players stepping up, you could feel that void. That's why bringing in a player like Simmons becomes more than just an X's and O's move. It's a culture move. It's a locker room move. This guy has worn the captain's patch. He's lined up against the best offenses in the league for nearly a decade and produced at a consistently high level. He's not just another vet. He's a tone setter. And in a city like Philadelphia, where football IQ and toughness are everything, he'd fit in immediately. And let's not pretend like Simmons is done making plays. Even in what was considered a down year with the Falcons, he still pulled down 2 interceptions, broke up 4 passes, and played over 800 snaps. And let's not ignore the context again. That Falcons defense was absolutely lifeless. They were last in sacks and pressure rate. The front seven couldn't get home, which meant Simmons and the rest of the secondary were hanging out to dry on nearly every snap. No safety thrives in those conditions, not even all pros. But in Philly, that's a different story. This defensive front is nasty. Jalen Carter, Josh Sweat, Hasten Reddick, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith. The Eagles are loaded with talent up front, and that pass rush is going to get after quarterbacks this season. That alone would make Simmons' job easier. Less time in coverage, more opportunities to jump routes and capitalize on errant throws. Pair that with Fangio's defensive system, one Simmons knows like the back of his hand, and you've got the recipe for a bounce-back season from a player with real juice left. And let's not overlook the versatility. One of the reasons C.J. Gardner-Johnson was so successful in Philadelphia was because of the way the team used him creatively, in the slot, deep, up in the box. Simmons has similar flexibility. He's lined up all over the field during his time in Denver. Need someone to drop deep in cover 2 or cover 3? Simmons has the range. Want someone to play near the line and sniff out screens or provide run support? He's physical and disciplined. Want someone who can disguise coverage, bait quarterbacks, and flip the field? That's literally been Simmons' calling card for years. It also sends a message to the rest of the NFC. The Eagles aren't content with almost. This is about sending a clear signal. The window is open now, and Howie Roseman is willing to do what it takes to get over the top. Adding Justin Simmons might not be the blockbuster move that breaks the internet, but it's the kind of strategic, smart, and calculated signing that championship teams make. Think about Malcolm Jenkins when he came to Philly. He wasn't the flashiest name